Native Brothers Services. I know Andy fell in love with West Davis. But we did put a lot of time, energy into this proposal, and it's for providing PB on all the tax 4 houses, which include 10 in each district, 10 in Whiter, 10 in Rice Lake, and 10 on Blair Road. Our numbers on the top page kind of don't jive because of the fluctuation in prices since we started this whole process. And the prices are only good until March 22nd. But I think it's a win-win for White Earth because the tax 4 homes was actually supposed to be a green project and it went over budget, and the first thing they cut was the solar. So these homes have the conduit in place and the PV and the main power panels. We met with White Earth Housing Authority and their board gave us a letter of support. Our proposal also includes working with Taro and training 10 tribal members on how to install PV. So we're hoping today that the tribal council approves our proposal so we can get started.
Any questions?
I don't know if it works.
I got one question.
Jamaica.
Check. Bonjour, Anin, Nese Indigenikaz Anishinaabuem, Minowa, Kevin Richard Shores Indigenikaj, Shaganashi Moog, Maquad Nundundame, Aki Minowa, Gawa Babigani Kag and Chipa, Minowa, Moorhead, Minnesota, Nungumin Chimi Gwich Kichimanadu, Ganikana, Ape Gish, Minobima Desiwe Wiyan. Hello and hi. My birth given name is Kevin Richard Shores, although I prefer to be called Nese. Thank you for the opportunity for allowing me these precious moments to share. With apologies, I'm late. My moccasins were missing, and it was a hard time looking for them, being blind. But I see a challenge with what is happening now, because now this program that is under Winona LeDuc is now asking for millions of dollars for solar, where we've already given millions of dollars for solar with the total spectrum thing, where they're trying to shut me up again, huh?
Right, the battery dead on that.
Another one?
That's all right. I was in the theater and I was taught projection. So we're already spending millions of dollars on this total spectrum solar proposal. Cannabis Aki, which I am involved with, has gone through months of hoops that continue to be put up before us, to where we're ripped apart and scrutinized when all we're trying to do is assist our people to grow their own cannabis. And yet, with the Canna Chip Factory or Wabigon Mushkee Key, such scrutinization was never made. With the total spectrum, such scrutinization was never made. And now 7th Fire, 8th Fire, utilizing our prophecies, great marketing, Wynona's really good at that. Wynona's Hemp and Heritage Farm, not the Anishinaabe Hemp and Heritage Farm, but Wynona's. But I digress, because I do have challenges with a woman who steals people's ideas and claim they're her own. So I say, from what I've gone through with Cannabis Aki and trying to get people to grow their own mushkee tea, with the scrutinization we got, that no less scrutinization be held about anybody asking for money over the millions of dollars, where you made us reach out to the community as a council, especially you, Michael Fairbanks, who's been greatly against cannabis mushkee tea from the beginning, because it conflicts with your baby project, the Canna Chip Wabigon mushkee tea. So that's my first statement, is that before this is granted or reviewed, that it be presented to the people and they have open forums and jump through the same hoops that Cannabis Aki had. Miigwech.
All right, any questions on Ace Fire Solar?
I just want to say that, I mean, I think it's a great idea. One thing that finance has in their policies is if we do have a project, especially we'll call it a construction project like this, if it's over the simplified acquisition threshold of $250,000, we do require bids. So I would suggest that the council go through the bidding process. And as a Native American owned company, they will get a, I think it's a 10%.
Do you do the same for Total Spectrum? If you're gonna bring that up now, I would really like a response to that. And also the other tribal members included on the Total Spectrum contract.
I think with Total Spectrum, there was talk about it, and there was something brought up about it being a sole source procurement, where it was a kind of a specialized service that they were providing. Whereas with solar panels, we have multiple businesses in the area that can provide it. And it's a simple process. We go out, we get competitive proposals, and we just look through them.
I mean, this proposal was requested of us, I think, back in August or September. We have put a lot of time, effort, energy into this proposal, and I don't think it's up to me or Eighth Fire Solar to request bids from other contractors.
You're correct, it would be the tribe. If the tribe decides that they want to do this project, they would be the ones to put the bid out, and you would be one of the bidding companies in the.
So then we're gonna go another 10 years without having any type of solar for our members.
Hold on,
I just.
Mr. Chair. If I may, now you're saying construction, is this construction? Does that mean they're building something? Or are they modifying? Is there a difference between that, Trace? Because, right now, yes, there are several people probably into solar, but I think that Eighth Fire has been doing this now and working on houses. They've been to different reservations, and they want to do some housing houses, which we are trying to get, lower costs for our people anyway. So that's my question, is it construction or modifying? Is modifying different?
Modifying's not different, it's any contract over $250,000 that, it's a cumulative amount that's not considered a sole source. And I just wanna state that, you guys are gonna do what you wanna do, but it's could be considered an audit finding for us if our auditors would find it.
Can they be considered as, did you see there?
Oh, definitely, I mean, yeah, the quote is good, I mean, the proposal is good.
But I mean, can they be considered a sole source then?
I wouldn't think so, because solar is so, there's a lot of people that do it. And I mean, all you would have to do is put a bid out, and at least MacArthur would be the one you have to talk to on the bid process. But I would think, I mean, if you put a bid out in the paper for an adequate amount of time and you don't get any other bidders on it, then, you're golden.
But we need somebody with experience, we don't need somebody playing to get a company and then wanna do the job and underbid, and get a bid over a company that actually has experience, they have already installed solar panels. Let's go with something that's actually.
They're native
happened,
owned,
rather
you know.
than paying somebody to consult it.
And that's part of, you take that into consideration when you look at your bids. So it's not all just about price, it's about experience, it's about working relationships. You take all that into consideration when you do your bidding process.
Now, what are the three things that are to be done in executive session? ICW, employees. Executive session is not to be going behind the people's backs to get money. And I would like that to be enforced, because we lost a lot of money on that $4.9 million contract. And that's terrible, because this is the first holiday I ever known where members couldn't even get a simple turkey for their holiday dinner. It's sad that our members who are needy went without, for a select few. And this asking for money should not go behind closed doors where the membership have no knowledge. That, like I said, I know it's supposed to be for ICW employees, and there was a third thing. And it's like, I don't like being here, I should be home sleeping, I have to work tonight. Calm down.
Please be respectful, I mean, you guys want respect, so do we, and our elders should get the same respect. I mean, it's, I know there's anger and issues, but let's be respectful.
How much are they asking for?
Same as you.
Ha ha, I get it. You're very funny.
1.1 million.
Already got. Oh, that is mine. You know what, I wanna just say something, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
With this, I really like how they put it together. And I must say, at least we'll be getting something in return, and we'll see it ongoing. And they're gonna train 10 of our own. I mean, to me, it's a win-win. And, I guess if we have to, I don't know, it's up to the whole council. I'm only one on the council. But if, right now, I reread this thing like 3 times,
What a hypocrite.
Hey, they're gonna give us something we can see now, not 10 years from now.
You have not-
I mean, our people.
You have not read our proposal
Are-
once.
I have too.
No, you have.
Yes, I have, and it's not,
Liar.
it don't make sense to me.
Guanamo.
Kevin.
Sorry. I'm sorry, but this is ridiculous. You guys pick and choose behind closed doors. Annie's relationship with Winona LaDuke is known. Michael Fairbanks' known relationship with Winona LaDuke is known.
I worked for Winona back in '86
All of
and I
these
left.
things that you guys are, in my 54 years of witnessing the council, you guys have not been here for us people.
Well,
You
excuse
take
me.
$180,000 a year salary when the common enrollee makes less than $13,000 a year. And you tell us to be patient with our poverty. But that's okay for you on the council to say that, because you get $180,000 a year and you fly around the country on our dime, just like Winona does. This is ridiculous. When are we going to be Anishinaabe? We are so assimilated, the argument could be, we're not even Anishinaabe anymore. Everybody's begging for money for holiday money. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, Valentine's Day. We just went through the precipice of the equinox, the beginning of our year of going around the sun. And where were the ceremonies? Where was the money granted for such a ceremony for our people following our ways? The council is starting to absolutely disgust me, and I'm sorry for my passion.
Thank you, Kevin.
I don't know when the creator will start charging and wanting money.
I've worked on and off with Eighth Fire Solar and Pine Point. It's interesting that the communities aren't listed here. They're District 2 and District 3, or District 1 and District 2. But Pine Point, Anna's district probably got more solar panels than any other district in this thing, and those are compliments of Eighth Fire Solar. Alan, I was there when you toured Eighth Fire Solar. You've seen the equipment's there, materials there. They can put out umpteen numbers of solar panels a month, and they're ready to go. They just went into a brand new facility. They're bigger and better, and so you know what Eighth Fire can do.
Yeah.
And if you were the one that helped ask for this.
I just want to clarify, I asked Eighth Fire to bring forward a proposal. They have spent hundreds of man hours on this proposal. They've spent a lot of time and energy to try to get this in front of the tribal council. And yes, I did tour their facility, and they do got band members working for them. They've got other tribal members working for them. They've done work on other reservations. These are all true things, you know. And so like I've asked them, I called them this week, I've talked to them today, making sure that it gets in front of the council so we can take a look at it, you know.
And they already have 2,000 native employees in their employment right now that have been working for 2 or 3, 5 years doing this. So.
And I must add, their proposal is very professional. It lists everything, and that's what I like. And it's also, they give us numbers, and that's numbers we can look at.
Yeah.
You know, not 10 years from now, it's gonna be, how long do you think it would take to finish?
And I also want to say this, that, you know, we've got Eighth Fire, we've got, you know, several groups in here that have brought forward proposals to the RBC. And I just want to say this, right? I haven't seen this sort of enthusiasm towards doing something good on White Earth in many years. It tells me that, you know, a lot of folks want to make things happen, whether it's this group over here or this group over here, or, you know, the people watching at home. There's a lot of enthusiasm to get this work done. And regrettably, that enthusiasm and that desire to do this good work for the people is turned around by certain individuals in the community to say that it's a bad thing, right? I'm not saying anyone in this room is up to no good. I say everyone in this room wants to do something for the people. And I support all of you. I do. I support all of you. There are no sides to this. There's only the people. All right? You guys, I think this is a fantastic proposal. I've supported you. I've supported some of Kevin's discussion and comments. I've supported some of White Clay's discussion and comments. I don't think it's a zero-sum game we're playing here. We just want to help the people, and that's what I see, and I support that. You know, I just want to get that out there.
Alan, if I could add one more thing, as Vice Chairman of the Elders Council, I think a great percentage of the solar panels they've already installed have been installed on Elders' homes in Pine Point. The picture of you guys standing here on this, where was that picture taken? I believe that might be in Pine Point, behind the school. Is it different? But it was probably installed by the same people that put the big one in Pine Point.
But Sam, that's what I'm trying to get at, is like, everyone here is trying to do something good. Okay, we don't have to like say, well, you did this or you did that, like, everyone's trying to do good. I think we all do better when we all do better, you know? I like this proposal by 8th Fire. I've asked, and I know we've had our differences, but you know what? You're at the table, you're making the ask, you want to do the right thing. We got other folks at the table making an ask, trying to do the right thing. And I think that we can figure this out. And a big part of this, like I was trying to explain to a lot of people this week, is this Public Utilities Commission. Once this regulatory commission gets enacted, and I was asking Lenny for clarification on this because any of these projects will be subject to that regulatory body, right? So you're talking about making sure that it's up to code, it's up to snuff, the prices are competitive, the consumer is protected, the good things that they should do. And if a utility provider is not doing their job, then they can be open to inquiry. And the commission can say, hey, you need to fix yourself because you're affecting our consumers and our band members. That's a good thing. It's a very good thing, you know? That's the direction we're heading. I see right here, look, Red Lake passes first ever tribal energy development organization. The same people in this room have talked about this several times. I believe we have the talent in this room to do the very same thing. You know, everyone in this room has talked about Public Utilities Commission. We've got one. It's on the verge of being passed. It's on the verge.
Can I say something? On that sole source, so that you were talking about, it says a no-bid construction contract is a popular term for which is officially known as a sole source contract. Sole source contracting is a non-competitive purchase or procurement process that meets full and open competition by soliciting and negotiating with only one source. The so-called source under the federal acquisition regulations, sole source contracting is used only where one firm has a product or service that will meet the product's needs, or only one firm that can perform the work. Where there are two or more firms that can meet the needs, full and open competition is required, assuring pricing and other terms are competitive. Where is the full and open competition through the use of competitive procedures. In the proposed White Earth construction procurement activities. Sole source construction contracts can be negotiated more quickly than a typical competitive contract, but they are often fought with suspicion, and the sole source firm used illegal or immoral means to exclude competitors, usually cronyism and bribery, and that the recipients is not getting the best price or products for their goods or services. This sole source construction contracting method is not promoting full or open competition. What is White Earth's acquisition strategy and how the sole source construction contracting fulfill the White Earth's contracting regulations? And how does White Earth's sole source construction contracting follow the acquisition regulations, FAR 6.302, and how many is within the public law that requires competitive and contracting of 1984, 41 USC 253 FAR Part 6.1 of the full and open competition. This is the federal law enacted for the purpose of encouraging competition for the awards of all types of construction contracts to obtain the best value for the price. What is White Earth usually follows within its process of the construction contracting? Where is the proof and full open construction
competition occurred. What is the exception of the White Earth Proclamation rules that justify construction for sole source contracting? The White Earth Nation entering into no-bid construction contracts is not allowed under the White Earth contracting rules and completely contrary to the White Earth policies of all treating all band members equally and giving those qualified members an opportunity to place a competitive bid.
Your point?
That's what I was doing, is so first.
Okay, I have a question for Green Team. How did that follow? If we're gonna be fair here,
I'm only a third party contract.
well, then don't read that to me.
Read it to everybody that's
With the Green Team, okay? How come at that point when the Total Spectrum contract came into play, 8th Fire wasn't asked to sit at the table for that? Why weren't we given the opportunity that the Green Team received? And we can go on and on about this. Our proposal is about doing the right thing in every one of our districts for 30 of our people. It's going to lock in the kilowatt hours for 40 years. It's a win-win situation.
Plus you're getting employees out of the deal too, and knowledge,
I would also like
people
to,
learning and working.
Especially
also
for
like to add
Winona.
that, there's a couple corrections to be made on the advantages of taking solar gardens. So,
That's not our business.
no, but still, it says 1.3 million price tag for 283 kilowatts of rooftop solar. We are asking for a 1 million for 291 kilowatt rooftop solar. And it says the size of each system would be about 9.4 kilowatts. Our systems are gonna be 9.7. And the cost per kilowatt, it says $4.59. The price we have is $3.87 for the overall cost of the project. We are also, as Pam has mentioned, we'll be working with Turo, training and educating the tenants as well. 3 phases, and you guys are also getting a very in-depth energy analysis that includes draft tests, thermal energy, and heat flow. And also including a air filtration system that can kill the bacteria of the COVID virus, because we do know that being at home is becoming more of the norm, working from home, going to school from home. And our mods are for a 25-year warranty. Thank you.
Plus, we have 2 NABCEP certified installers at 8th Fire.
What I would suggest is, like I said, I think it's great if council approves a project like this. I mean, we follow the bidding. You guys obviously have your bid in, it's great. And we go get the extra 2 and just do it. We have to follow the federal regulations on this, 2 CFR 200.
I wish I would have seen you at the last however long many meetings that you have been employed, because I have never seen you speak up and sit at the table.
I have just got this position in January 2021 is when I became CFO.
I don't know, I think it's up to the tribal council on what they want to do.
It's up to the people.
So if I can just say something here that's probably gonna make everybody mad. But this is what a conversation that I had in the legal department is just the fact that there's absolutely no planning that's taking place here from the RBC level on down. Now, there's a budget that the RBC approves on an annual basis, and that budget is what's supposed to guide the spending decisions of the RBC, set the priorities of the RBC for a year. Now, on the day that the RBC approved the budget for fiscal year 2022 in September of 2021 was the same day the RBC approved a $4.9 million contract that was not in that budget. Now, and expended $1 million that same week, which was actually fiscal year 2021 still. But the recommendation with all of these proposals that are coming in across the board from legal department would be that the RBC sit down and have a planning session and determine what you want to do and then move forward from there, rather than this proposal coming in and that proposal coming in and then there being no budget for those proposals, so those proposals being unbudgeted, actually planning ahead, putting them into your budget and saying, here's our priority, here's where we're gonna spend this money, and this is what we're gonna do, rather than this sort of fly by the seat of our pants that we have been doing ever since I've been in this position, going back to 2020. That's sort of been the way that things have operated. Without really any guiding principles, without any real solid plan, without any long-term vision for what we're trying to accomplish. And the end result of that, at least from my standpoint in the legal department, is this zigzag where, okay, we're gonna hurry up and do this, now hurry up and do that, now hurry up and do that. Where I gotta tell you, I feel like I'm working my butt off, but I don't feel like we're accomplishing anything or really moving forward on anything because there is no long-term vision for what the RBC is trying to accomplish. And so I really feel like that's something that the RBC should do at this point, is to say, okay, we're gonna take a step back, we're gonna do some planning, we're gonna engage with the community, what does the community want, what are the priorities of the community, and then have your budget reflect that, because under the Constitution, all expenditures are supposed to be made in accordance with a budget duly adopted in legal session. You know, and get back to that constitutional operation of government that's informed by the priorities and long-term plan of the RBC set by the people. So I don't see that happening here, and I think that that's what needs to happen, and that's what the RBC should get back to. Miigwech.
Miigwech, Lenny. I know, like we were talked earlier about from council is the PUC, and I've been pushing this for a long, long time, and I think that's the arm that's kind of lacking here. And when we're talking about negotiating with power companies, and you know, I know that's something that I feel like that, and with the community engagement with council and who's working on these projects or energy projects, who's maybe creating some type of team to go out or work with our economic development or energy team that we're gonna hopefully create with, you know, from the PUC, that we can maybe get a lot of input from our membership out there. So, and that's one thing I've always talked about was the PUC, so.
So I have a comment. Douglas Lee, Indigenous Cause. So I just wanted the opportunity to be able to share something from our final report the Green Team presented, Total Spectrum and the Green Team we presented. So we actually went and visited 8th Fire, and I wish to share a piece from our final report, just in case you guys didn't read it. Advantages of community solar gardens. Community solar gardens offer several distinct advantages over rooftop solar. The biggest advantage is the price. Community solar gardens cost on average less than 50% per kilowatt to build and operate than rooftop solar systems. According to Small Business Trends, the cost to build a ground-mounted solar array ranges from 82 cents to $1.36 per watt. 2022, the siting and permitting process to purchase and install solar equipment for a 1 megawatt solar farm can cost anywhere between $820,000 to $1.36 million. As of March 2022, the average solar panel cost in Minnesota is $3.07 per watt, which is near the $3 watt national average price of residential solar. In addition to the much lower cost of community solar gardens, the following disadvantages of rooftop solar must also be recognized. 50% of homes in the US are not a good fit for solar panels due to roof orientation, shading, and inadequate roof structures requiring repairs or structural additions. In Minnesota, the ideal roof would face directly south, have no trees nearby or other objects that could cause shading, and would have a 40-degree pitch. Not all homeowners have the financial resources to produce their own solar systems. People who don't own their own homes can't benefit from rooftop solar panels. Only those who own the home can authorize installation of solar panels on that home. Ownership-based community solar models are very similar to rooftop systems, except no panels are installed on one's roof. But Solar Garden members own a set number of panels or a certain number of kilowatts of the solar project's total capacity. Community solar is made possible by a policy called virtual net metering, which allow households or businesses to receive the net metering credits associated with a renewable energy project installed at a remote location. So this last part, this young miss over here was correcting us on some of the numbers, and I apologize about those numbers. They were in a report that we received from 8th Fire, and that's why it went up in here, but they said they made modifications, so I wish to acknowledge those modifications. 8th Fire Solar proposed a $1.1 million price tag for 291 kilowatts of rooftop solar, which could enable about 30 homes to become net zero. This part's important, okay, because it is a really good idea, and it was already done and set up to do it, but I just want you to pay attention to this part, okay? 1.1 for 30 homes, right? Due to the higher outputs and lower costs, a 1 megawatt solar garden, which we recommended in our Fire Dome report, solar gardens in all the communities, a 1 megawatt solar garden would provide enough solar energy to power 150 homes for 1.3 million. So all I'm saying is, I'm not dogging your plan, it's good, get help for the members, but if you're going to approve 30 homes for 1.1 million of rooftop, after we did all our due diligence, and you paid us all that money to do our due diligence, and we gave you the report that you paid for, if you're not gonna read it right here, if you're gonna recommend a motion to 30 homes, I recommend that you have motion to do a 1 megawatt solar garden to provide for 150 homes.
Are you making them solar panels then, Doug? Are you gonna be making them and installing them yourselves, or, I mean, these guys are.
No, that would go up for bid, Andy. And we
So
showed
all the
how-
money wouldn't
and we
stay
showed-
here within our reservation and service our members? For the proposal you're talking about?
What a solar garden is?
How much are the power purchase agreements for your solar gardens?
How many cooperatives are you working with?
So that's phase 3. We're still in phase 2. Phase 2 ended in January, now we're just on pause. And it's 2 million that we got paid, just for correction, and not 4.9.
Well-
The contract was 4.9, but we've only been paid.
So your prices that you're giving for the solar gardens, if phase 2 is power purchase agreements, your phase 1 price is gonna go sky high.
Phase 3 would be negotiations with the energy companies on the power purchase agreements.
All right, guys, we're gonna have to move forward here, so.
Thank you very
I know
much.
that there's a lot of information given out today, and I think as council, you know, talking to Alan, and I think that we're gonna have to relook at this and, you know, work with legal and work with Tracy on some of the financial policies that we just talked about earlier. So I know right now that it's kind of, there's a lot of tension in the air, and of course the prayers that we said earlier that we would, you know, be peaceful today. And I know that, but we will, these are great ideas, and I think that we are gonna have to create something that's gonna benefit all of our people, in which I know that your proposals do, but I know that, I think the PUC is the huge part of this, that the puzzle that we need to get done right away, so.
Mike, I can add one statement. What Doug just said there, he's comparing watermelons to apples here. They've already got the apples and can build them. These guys got $4.9 million and have nothing yet, and it's gonna cost more to even come close to this garden that he's talking for 150 homes. How much more is he gonna ask you guys for that? That's the problem there. People are not happy with 4.9 million that's already been spent and see nothing coming out of it. And it's gonna cost I read the Total Spectrum Final Report, and everything they mention is, well, it's gonna cost so many, this $4.1 million to do this, to put this up and do that up, to cut the top of a mountain off and make a big hole in it, to put water in it for hydro. That's millions of dollars. that. So that's why I'm saying, it's not comparing apples to apples. And, I mean, from what I see, 8 Fire Solar has got a complete thing, that the total cost is there, the completion, what they're gonna do in that time period. And they've got a time period, 1 year. So that's what people gotta look at. Rather than spending more money, millions down the road for a pipe dream. Thank you.
I agree. A bunch of hot air that I hope they can use to heat my house next winter, cause I got a full tank of fuel oil the other day, it was over $1,100.
Just for correction, this is for solar PV, photovoltaic, and not solar thermal.
Tracy, well, in conformance with that policy, can we at least initiate action to start the project process? What do we gotta do to authorize that, Lynn? To at least solicit bids? What do we gotta do for that?
I don't think you need to take action, I think you just need to direct finance to solicit bids. And then you'd approve the bid, like, on your consent agenda later today, you're gonna be approving a whole bunch of bids for various different projects that have gone out. The RBC didn't direct that those, or didn't take formal action on finance sending out those bids, but again, through that budget process, the RBC said, here are the projects we're gonna have this year.
So we could ask.
So if you direct finance, if RBC directs finance to say, send it out for bids, then Tracy can direct Lisa to send it out for bids.
I mean.
I guess, that's some good news land in a way, but the other end is I know that, like we said earlier, that we're, $10+ million over budget, and talking to Tracy and she'll explain that more.
Yeah, that was my question, is what stuff do you have in the budget? Funding sources.
Like, when we authorize, every time we authorize something, those are budget modifications.
Were you at the meeting, did you go through this process when the million was awarded?
When she
Through
talks
this
about
process for that?
funds, there's a difference between earned and expended. All those funds are not been expended. It just needs purpose.
All right, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Pam.
So you're talking about the approved budget and all this money that was spent. So are you saying that, how much money does the tribe have? Are we broke? Are we over budget? Are we, how much money, I think somebody requested the ARP?
Yeah.
How much money is in the ARP?
Yeah, so we published those finances, all of the questions that you have, they're in the February report. They were published here and they're available. It even breaks down the exact amount of ARP remaining, the exact amount of CARES Act that has been expended. Now, there's a clarification. So when we pass an annual budget, right, that is the approved budget. Now, for example, when folks come in and they want 2,500 here, or they want to go and buy some property over there, right? All that stuff, those are called budget modifications, right? Those budget modifications end up going to what Mike had described. Hey, look, we've made several modifications above that initially approved budget, right? But all those modifications still have to come back to the table here to be approved, right? So we just can't approve something without it going through this process. Another point of clarification. Whenever these funds, so when someone says, well, we project to be, $10 million over the 2022 budget, right? What people need to understand is there's a difference between encumbered funds and expended funds. So just because you say, hey, we project 10, doesn't mean you've actually spent 10. It's just what you project to spend, right? So for example, when folks talk about that 4.9 million, it doesn't mean we spent 4.9 million. It means we've expended around 2.2 million, right? So there is a difference there. So in terms of, to answer your questions, all of those numbers were reported at the last meeting here. And that report is available. Maria has a copy of it.
You can get a copy of it.
Could we get a hard copy of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yep. It's always available for you guys. All you gotta do is go up to admin and they'll print off a copy for you, or they can email it to you too.
I know the RTC has changed their, way they do business of not handing out hard copies and not being able to copy them, not taking a picture of them.
Well, no, hold on. It depends on the type of information that you're seeking, right? So like, you know, if it's someone's personal payroll, right? You can come in and you can take a look, right? You can see what this position is being paid and allocated. However, it has been past practice since before I was in office, okay? I want to clarify that as well, that under certain items, they'll just request that you come in and you can take a look at all the finances anytime you want.
That's what I was gonna say. When you came on board, Alan, the first year you were in there, you did exactly that. You sent out a hard copy of, I think it was the year you came on board and the year before, and then the proposed budget for the next year and stuff, and people could see exactly where White Earth's money was going.
Yeah.
And now we haven't seen one.
No, they are published every quarter. So those reports that you're talking about, they're published every quarter. Now, typically, the reports I publish range from anywhere from 50 pages to 200 pages.
Right.
Okay, but they are available for you. They're brought into the meetings, the RBC looks at them, and they're available upon request.
I have one more comment. You know, we put a lot of time and energy, people hours into providing a proposal that was requested of us. It just really irritates me because why wasn't all of that done at the beginning? This proposal was requested me. You've called me out in 3 or 4 RBC meetings saying, I've requested a proposal from Pam Fairbanks, I don't know how many times now. Here's our proposal that we put all of our energy and expertise in, and now where?
So I do want to clarify, so when someone made the comment that, oh, we're so 10 million plus, right? That threw everyone off on a tangent. But let me get back to your initial comment. We have over $40 million in unrestricted funds available, which is a fact, right? Between the RBC and the Shooting Star Casino. So we are not hard up on cash. I just want to make that known, right? I think I reported last month, consolidated cash on hand between our restricted funds and non-restricted funds is over $150 million, okay? So we have over $40 million there that was reported last month. So it's not a cash flow problem. We don't have a cash flow problem. The casino here is making more money, net revenue, not gross revenue, but net revenue, than at any other point in the history of the tribe. These past 2 years, we've made more money than at any other point in the history of the tribe. These are facts. We have the cash, but it goes back to what Lenny's saying. We should sit down and plan for it, is what he's trying to imply, okay? So, but I just want to clarify, when somebody said, well, you know, our budget over here, well, what I'm telling you is we have the cash.
I would request that every one of you that have our proposal, please shred it, because I don't know if we'll be able to put in a bid at a later time. Because this takes a lot of planning with all of the people that are involved in this process. And we have been planning for this for 9 months to get all these people aligned so this project could be completed by August. So.
Concerning your budget that you put out, will that include Minnesota tax money in there and the tribal gaming and the outpost?
to answer your question, all that information is in the report. Yes, 100%.
How soon could I get one of those?
You can go by and pick one up today.
Who's in charge of your energy department for White Earth?
I think it's kind of Ben Eugene. Economic Development.
So
Yeah.
Mike Triplett hasn't been replaced?
I'm not sure. We'd have to talk to Eugene. I'm not sure. And then, yeah, all that information it was published in the February report, so to answer your question.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just want to say that I'm behind 8th Fire's thing 100%. And she's right, you know, we did it wrong in the past. And you know, why is that 8th Fire's fault? It isn't. It's us as council made that decision for all our members. And you know, that's something that should have been bid out too, because we can't say that was a sole source. There's many people out there that could have done that. So that was our mistake. And for us to sit here and hold it against 8th Fire is just wrong, because, you know, like Pam said, they spent months, and they have, because we got a draft, they went back to the table and did another one. And it's very professionally done. I mean, I just feel so bad, because to me, we're doing our members a disservice. Miigwech.
Thank you, everyone. Be good for that. Next up on the agenda is Lake Superior Bank. Okay, well, to go. Next one is Veronica Skinway. She here?
I emailed her, but I didn't get a response, so I'm not.
Okay, thank you, Maria. Next up is Michelle Enrigala, a BICAP flag donation request.
Next to our flag donation request.
Council, did you get a chance to look at that request for the flag donation? Motion to approve the BICAP flag request donation. Motion by Raymond.
Second.
Second by Alan, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up is Jamie Arsenal flag donation request. Maria?
Okay, I will read it. The White Earth Tribal Historic Preservation Office is requesting 4 White Earth Nation flags, so that as the preservation officer, I can gift those flags to the youth that live and learn at the College of St. Benedict, St. John's University, and the 2 Indigenous student organizations within each. It has come to my attention that there are White Earth students who attend both institutions, and they have stated to me how disheartening it is for them to see the flags of other countries present throughout their institutions, but no sign of tribal flags. As preservation officer, I would like to support their efforts and see this as one small but meaningful act that will allow White Earth students to see themselves reflected more within their schools, as well as the student organizations and church colleges.
Okay, Council, any action on this one?
Mr. Chair, before we do that, I also got a request from a lady in Washington who said she went to the, Native American Museum out there. She's seen all their flags out there except one from White Earth.
I think we're in it.
Oh, you did?
Pretty sure.
That's what I tried to tell her. I said, I'm sure it's all paved. She said, no, I never said.
Well, there's so many rolls of them, you
Yeah,
know?
that's what I said.
I think we're in there.
Yeah, I think we are too, and that's why I said, maybe, but she said she looked all and couldn't find it. I just wanted to bring that up, but I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion for the TIPO office to get 4 flags for the college. But Ray will double check on that national.
Well, thank you, Chair.
Okay. Motion by Raymond.
I say no, Mr. Chairman. As them are church colleges, and I don't see, I just don't agree with the churches right now, what they did to our boarding school members.
Okay, we have a no.
Oh, I thought this was for our tribal college.
I thought it was for our tribal college too. This is for
For
somebody else.
St. Benedict's College and St. John's College.
Oh, no, then I withdraw my motion, Mr. Chair. I thought it was for our college.
Okay, we will withdraw that motion from Raymond and that will fail, so. Next up is spring cleanup, Whiter spring cleanup. I believe they had a proposal on here for, was it their budget there? Raymond? Or I think we do this yearly, don't we?
Raymond wanted to bring it up, right, regarding.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I was approached by, several community members that wanted a spring cleanup, and I know we do one every year, and I don't know if we did one last year because of the pandemic. But, I know the villages need it, and we usually get, a lot of community participation in that do clean their yards and put the stuff out. They're not asking us to clean the yards, they just want to put the stuff out and have it picked up. And I know we did this in the past. Housing helps out, roads. I know there's a lot of programs that come in and help out, so I just told them that I wanted this on the agenda today to see if we could get that going again this year too. Because as you know, if we don't do it, a lot of this garbage ends up out in our back roads and stuff like that. But just a thought, Mr. Chairman. You're good.
Thank you, Ray.
Yes, talking to Tracy here, yeah, they did have a spring cleanup because the enterprises did bill us for last year. And I know last year was one of the years too that we, as council, we initiated the day labor program and they did a really good job out there. You know, I was out there, I went visiting them out in Rush Lake area. They're cleaning up those old roads, and I know that hopefully this year we can get our day labor and get it ramped up, and we can do some good cleaning this year. So like our elders had really good concerns about some of the mattresses and some of the bigger items that are kind of that don't fit in the garbage trucks that are kind of like makes our reservation look kind of.
I have a
kind of bad.
request on that.
Yeah.
Would I be able to submit a request to get our dumpster fenced up so we can lock it to keep other people from dumping all these old mattresses? And I mean, some people pull up there and they load up about 15 bags of garbage on us and stuff.
And I think that's a great idea, but I know the thing as council, and I know that we should probably get a request from enterprises, the sanitation so we can subsidize the transfer stations for their dumping and make it free of cost. I know when Leech Lake does it for band members that they get to go to their transfer stations and
So a tribal ID.
yes, and then they get to dump their whatever stuff they have there, and then what happens is they end up billing our the other account with third-party money in there for community health.
I know the church had to lock up their dumpster because the same thing was happening to them.
So I'm thinking that's something that I'll get Curtis and Lori to work on and get us a proposal to the council so we can maybe have those free services for our garbage at these transfer stations. So, and Waban will be open, of course, I think they're open 6 days a week. So, but as long as you have a tribal ID card, you'll be able to dump your garbage off. So I think that'll that'll stop and halt a lot of that stuff that's happening near our roads and our little beautiful, highways and back roads that we have, because sometimes there's a lot of dump out there. And
Would that be an enrollment card, not a descendant card?
yeah, yes. We'll get Curtis to work on it and Lori to work on it, and we'll get something back to you by hopefully by next meeting, okay? Be good. So I know that the spring cleanup's already in the budget. Yes, it's in the budget, so that's gonna happen this year. And hopefully we'll get a hold of sanitation to get their posters out and their billboards out, what times and dates they're gonna come through our community, so miigwech on that. Next up is the behavioral health facility acquisition. Is that you, Al, that wanted that on there?
I wanted Clinton to talk about that ore site.
Stepped out for a little bit, he had to call the CDC, but he'll be back in.
And one of the things too, guys, I wanted to kind of bring up, I know it's in the executive, but I know it's the Minnesota Chippewa Tribe land transfer. I know I asked Jacob to be here today, and I know it's nothing that, we don't have to. I just wanted to bring it up that.
Yeah, so that got added on the agenda based on the request yesterday. That actually turned out to be about the federal recognition issue that the TEC voted on. So I think that there was some confusion around the request, but ultimately it's, the request was about the action that the TEC took in January to pass a resolution requesting that each of the 6 bands of the MCT be listed separately on the list of federally recognized tribes. So I don't know if there's any specific questions on the land transfer bill. I think there was some confusion though as to those 2 issues.
Okay, disregarded, I guess. Sorry about the confusion.
No, I did, so, so what does that mean, Len? Like, what, if they get that passed through, what is that? That recognition thing, does that mean that each of the bands get their own recognition outside of the MCT?
Here, do you wanna take that, and then I can answer this. Yeah, to council. There's one for each council member there.
And Jake, I was gonna ask Jake a question too.
And, yeah. Okay, so the documents that Tracy's passing out is the letter that President Kathy Chavers of the MCT sent to Betty McCollum. I believe she sent an identical letter to Senator Smith as well. And attached to that letter is some proposed legislative language, which I don't believe was before the TEC. And, I don't get a TEC packet, but the resolution was approved, and the last 2 pages are the resolution. And the resolution was approved in the legislative subcommittee the day before the TEC, and then the TEC met on that Friday, and then adopted this resolution. And you can see that the resolution talks about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the 5th whereas clause on the first page, the Assistant Secretary of Indian Affairs listed the Minnesota Chippewa Tribe in 6 bands as follows, with a parenthetical reference. And then the next, whereas the 6 bands are separately recognized as tribal governments by the United States, and each maintains a government-to-government relationship with the United States, evidenced by separate self-governance agreements, separate gaming compacts, separate funding and grant agreements, separate treaty rights, and the separate acquisition of land into trust for the individual bands pursuant to the IRA. And then if you go on to the next page, then to the therefore be it resolved clauses, you can see that the action of the resolution is that the request is that the Assistant Secretary for Indian Affairs revise the annual list of federally recognized Indian tribes to more clearly show that the Minnesota Chippewa Tribe and the 6 reservation bands, and then it lists the bands, are each federally recognized Indian tribes under the laws of the United States, and that in making the revisions, this Assistant Secretary lists each of the bands separately and individually in the alphabetical list of tribes, and lists the Minnesota Chippewa Tribe separately. And so that's what this resolution was. It was talked about at the TEC meeting as well, that President Chavers and Chief Executive Benjamin from Mille Lacs had conversations with people in the central office at BIA and Department of Interior, and that in order to get the request made, that they wanted this resolution. Now, what was not talked about at that TEC meeting was the proposed legislative language, which is page 2 of the attachment. And then the proposed legislative language reads, upon the written request of one or more of the 6 separate sovereign and federally recognized tribal governments known as the Mille Lacs Band, the Grand Portage Band, the Bois Forte Band, the Fond du Lac Band, the Leech Lake Band, and the White Earth Band, the Bureau of Indian Affairs shall separately present and count each requesting tribal government on the list of federally recognized tribes published by the Bureau pursuant to Section 104 of the Federally Recognized Indian Tribe List Act of 1994, in the same format used by the Bureau to separately present and count each federally recognized tribal government on the list. And so what was talked about at the TEC meeting, and what was also discussed here in President Chavers' letter, specifically relates to issues that the MCT bands ran into as it related to the distribution of funds for the American Rescue Plan Act, which at first treated the Minnesota Chippewa tribe as one tribe for the purposes of distribution of those monies, and then because Congress intervened, then treated all 6 bands separately. And the idea that was talked about was to treat all 6 bands separately for future federal money that was going to come to each tribe. But what was not discussed at the TEC meeting was this draft proposed legislative language. It was presented at the TEC meeting as an administrative fix that would be done by the Secretary of Interior or Assistant Secretary, rather than requiring congressional action.
Al, do you want to say a few words?
No, I was just, I wanted to get that clarification there, and then, I did remember, for that land transfer, I did get a message from, Bois Forte, was it back in January or late January? They wanted to know what's going on with White Earth. I know we've been kind of telling Congress for them not to move on it.
Well, that was one thing, Alan, me and Alan's seat on the TEC is one thing I felt very uncomfortable about, was the people were never involved in this. You know, we did have the tribal delegations, and of course you did have Kathy and Melanie and the rest of the TEC that was really eager to get through this. But I know that for White Earth, it's a little different. You know, I know there's some things that we can do and can't do, but I know that for us and myself, because when they asked me for us to do a letter, it's like we're already saying that we're speaking on behalf of everyone here and this across our nation. So I really felt uncomfortable with that, and I really didn't want to do that because we haven't did nothing with our membership to get that information to them. So that was one of the things that I just hope that, you know, that Jacob can answer a few questions. I know one of the things that he was going to bring up was, you know, during this transfer, there might be some legality problems that we have due to the transfer of these parcels back in our name. So Jake, you can say a few words. Be good.
Thanks, Mike.
Oh, all right. So like I was talking about Minnesota Chippewa tribe lands, White Earth here, we have about 54,000 acres of it. Of that, around 3,400 acres of it, it's actually not recognized as trust from the federal side. So it doesn't have what it's called as a title status report. It doesn't have a tract ID number. So my thoughts are, if this land transfer goes through, they have to go through each one that's on that federal database. It has like a 408 number, and if those ones aren't listed on there, they won't get transferred. Once again, White Earth will lose out on potential lands. And I have spoken with Phil Brodeen, you know, Gary Frazier, Joel Smith, And I even spoke to Timothy Lapointe, who was the regional director for some period of time a few years ago, about this issue. And it seems like we just keep hitting roadblocks and they just want to keep moving forward. I want to get the lands corrected, everything in place, make sure White Earth doesn't miss out, because we seem to always miss out. And that's just my thoughts on it. If they want to move forward with the land transfer, I guess, I have no say of that. But, we have full control owner of it now. I don't really know the difference if we transferred it. That was just my thoughts, because we produce leases, we send them, we get them recorded. Now, if you want to do something like the Hearth Act, where we could record them without the Bureau, you'd have to have it in your name. That was one of the things. But, regardless, we do a lot of what they're called as a home site assignment, or we do assignments where they're not even recorded. You don't have to record them. So I don't really see the actual benefit, is what I'm saying. It's not really a big deal. That's all.
But Mike, I've kind of backtracked a little bit here. Does White Earth want to say anything about this proposed draft legislative language then?
Right, I think it would be a good idea for the council to because I know Barb Rohde, for example, out in DC, is getting a lot of questions about it, particularly from the Mille Lacs lobbying team, but also from, Senator Smith's office and Betty McCollum's office. They do want to know what White Earth's position is. And what I have clarified for Barb, and that she has let the congressional delegation know, is that the resolution was supposed to be an administrative fix, and right now White Earth has no position on the federal legislation. But if the council does want to take a position on it, it's definitely would be advised to take a position for or against it, then we can let the delegation know what the council's position is. I know Chairman Fairbanks voted silent on the resolution, and Secretary Roy was not at the meeting, so that's.
Well, maybe we could have, you guys, maybe our government team could give a recommendation to the council and with some of the pros and cons, Len?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
Okay, we good?
All right, my good, everyone. Thank you for, I think we're,
Consent agenda.
consent agenda, I'm sorry.
And Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I did just send a letter out to the council that I'm respectfully requesting be added to the consent agenda. It's a letter to Tiki Brown, the Assistant DHS Commissioner. It's regarding DHS's consultation or lack of consultation with White Earth as it relates to the FFPSA state plan, which they're trying to get done by March 31st, and they still haven't consulted with White Earth. So that's just what the letter deals with, and I'm requesting that that be added to the consent agenda.
All right, Al, you guys good with the consent agenda? That's the last thing we gotta do before we eat here, so.
Okay, so then, just for the proposed utilities commission code, that's gonna just be next week then, Mike?
Yeah, we could add that next week.
So we'll remove the tribal utilities code and
Get it
and then
next week.
Secretary Roy, I don't know if you heard, but I was requesting to add a letter to DHS Assistant Secretary Tiki, or Assistant Commissioner Tiki Brown regarding the lack of consultation from Minnesota Department of Human Services on their FFPSA state plan. And they want to implement that up by March 31st, and so that's why we're trying to get a letter back to them as soon as possible.
And then I also want to point out to the members watching at home and in the room that we do got a $25 million ARPA for our programs, for a lot of it's roads, construction, water, fixing up the water system, sewer. Huh?
That was.
Oh, you guys pulled that out?
No, the 25 million I think is still
Public
there,
Works.
but I do want to clarify for RBC that as it relates to direct expenditures from the state and local fiscal recovery funds under ARPA, that as it relates to infrastructure, it has to be water and sewer.
Yeah.
Or broadband related. And I believe that the Public Works Department is wanting to expend a significant portion of that fund on roads. And in order to do that, that would have to come out of the lost revenue portion. And I think that that's what will be discussed in executive session. As
Oh, okay, so
how-
that'd be in.
How that could possibly work.
And
Okay.
also, Mr. Chairman, we did pull that tribal historic preservation one out
Okay, did you
for
let
the
Maria
first
know?
one.
Does Maria know?
Yeah.
They're later on the sheet in the executive session.
All right.
Okay, motion to approve the consent agenda
With changes?
with the changes.
Motion.
Motion by Annie,
I'll second.
second by Alan, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for showing up today. Lunch is here.
May I give a little update? Quick.
Yes.
Miigwech.
Mike?
Anin Buju, Jodan Rozo from Ogama Organics and one of the venture parties of the Green Team. I just wanted to give a little update of some of the projects and community engagement that we've been involved in since the last meeting. Ogama Organics had committed to providing battery storage capacity to the 10 kilowatt solar array in the old village of Rice Lake. It used to be connected to the community center, or daycare center, which is no longer there. And the array has been sitting there just stoic, you know? So now we've got, we have the batteries. Batteries are in. We've got a 10-pack of batteries for, for connection. The Episcopal Church in Rice Lake will have solar energy and storage capacity in the event of emergencies. That space is being provided there for the people of Rice Lake. And we are now kind of at a bit of a stalemate, whereas we have the materials to install, but we are at a point now where we do not have the capacity to pay our workforce unless we get our final payment. Ogama Organics has scheduled an appointment with University of Minnesota Morris coming up this week. University of Minnesota this year has opened all of their campuses in Minnesota to enrolled members and descendants, tuition free, right? Tuition waived. And University of Minnesota Morris is the largest or the #1 producer of renewable energies of all the universities right now. They are producing more than they consume. And Ogama Organics has put together an apprenticeship partnership for anybody and everybody, please. But we've already got a group of youth committed to go down to the campus on Tuesday, next Tuesday, to tour their Native American Success building, or Native American Success Center, excuse me. And then we are also touring the completed renewable energy projects. And we also have time to meet with the administrators, admissions counselors, you know?
How many youth?
We're bringing 3 with right now because of their restrictions. We're limited to 5 people in a group right now. So I encourage anybody, visit that admissions website and, you know, click on a date that's available. Check it out. But that's, you know, we are seriously committed to developing the people of White Earth. You know, we deserve a future. And that's what we're here for. Naysay.
Oh, I just wanted to make a comment when you're done, sorry.
Okay. That's all I've got for today. And once again, we're kind of at a stalemate with the funding to complete the project. And I would appreciate any motion to get this completed. It's for the people. Miigwech.
Bonjour, Nene, say Indigenous cause, Anishinaabe, Kevin Richard Shores. I was told, or we were told, Cannabis Aki from the last meeting, that it was being tabled, our proposal, until we did a community outreach, which we did. And we got mixed feelings, which all programs do. But still, our pledge is to assist the people to grow their own and to create jobs. As a newly appointed cannabis commissioner, I have been being stonewalled as I'm trying to investigate where the $7 million that has been set aside for Wabigon Mushkiki to be providing cannabis. Prior to Michael Fairbanks' position as chairperson, we had had several conversations. Is this not true, Michael Fairbanks, about growing cannabis on the reservation, you and I? And even after you were appointed, did we not have many conversations about cannabis growing on the reservation? Can you clarify that?
Miigwech, Kevin, we're on lunch break now, so.
I understand, but.
It's not on the agenda. So
But it was supposed to be, and here in my pouch, this pouch houses my eagle bone whistle. So if you're questioning my right to speak, it's right there. And I was given it by the veterans of this reservation. And I am disgusted with the way that you have been treating me, Michael Fairbanks, as a veteran, as an enrollee, how you openly to the public tell people your disdain of me.
Miigwech, Kevin.
And I'm not finished, sir. So as I try to find out where all of this money is gone with Wabigon Mushkiki, I find out that over $2 million was given Wabigon Mushkiki from a loan from the casino, and there's supposed to be 2 signatures on every check that's produced, and yet this is not being happening. The Wabigon Mushkiki is not compliant with the cannabis code that was passed, which I've been complaining about since its passing, that it was unconstitutional. You utilize the referendum about the reservation wanting cannabis cultivation, and you utilize that for starting Wabigon Mushkiki following the state's rules, which we don't have to comply with the state. All we have to do is work with the federal government. And so I'm disgusted because, again, apparently Cannabis Aki is not on the agenda, and that's why I came here, because I was informed it was. Or I wouldn't have showed up, because it takes a lot for me to get here from Moorhead, Minnesota.
Thank you,
My last question is, for you, Michael Fairbanks, how is it that within the last month, all of this tribal trust land is now under your name? As in, you are the owner of trust land next to the adjacent land to your property right now.
Trust land, that's not trust land. As far as I know, it's not trust land. All right, guys, it's lunchtime, so we're gonna go for a break, and I appreciate your comments, and thank you, and we sit in.